Good evening, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Care to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's have a roll call.
Alderman Strelchuk?
Here.
Alderman Pouquet?
Here.
Alderman Meyer?
Here.
Alderman Worth?
Here.
Alderman Garrell?
Here.
Alderman Hawkins?
Here.
Alderman Nurbin?
Here.
Alderman Adams?
Here.
Mayor Avendroth?
Here. We have a quorum. First item is personal appearances and public comments. Citizens wishing to address the council on any matter that's not on our agenda may do so at this time. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to public officials' reports. Mayor has no report. City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just one item tonight. In 2014, the state of Wisconsin nominated an 875 square mile area of western Lake Michigan, extending from Mequon to Two Rivers, as a national marine sanctuary. It was endorsed by a broad coalition of organizations and individuals at the local, state, and national level. Over the course of 2015, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, commonly known as NOAA, reviewed and approved the state's nomination. In October of 2015, NOAA then commenced a process to consider formal designation of the area as a national marine sanctuary. Tonight, Russ Green, NOAA's regional coordinator for the proposed Wisconsin Lake Michigan Marine Sanctuary, is here to provide some additional background on this rather unique initiative and to talk about the public comment process that is now underway. Russ?
Thanks, Will. Actually, now you covered it all. I'm not sure I have anything else to
Well,
offer.
just a brief intro.
Okay. Thanks so much. Thanks for the opportunity to update you tonight on the proposal that we have before you for public comment. Public comment period ends March 31st. I've just got a couple of quick slides here to kind of round out Will's great introduction. What we're talking about here in Wisconsin is including Wisconsin in the National Marine Sanctuary Program, which is a network of 14 marine sanctuaries really across the globe that are conservation, marine protected areas that protect, you name it, coral reefs down in Florida Keys, humpback whales, all the way up to the Great Lakes. They are naturally based and they're also culturally based. The Wisconsin proposal is exclusively based in heritage resources, so exclusively focused on historic shipwrecks. There's one other marine sanctuary in the Great Lakes. This was the last to be designated. That's the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary you see there in Lake Huron. That was designated in 2000. So that provides a pretty good example if folks are interested in what marine sanctuaries do in the Great Lakes, the kinds of programming, the connections to the community and education and research and resource protection. Thunder Bay offers a pretty good example. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. In Wisconsin, the proposal is right here. We have a draft environmental impact statement, a draft management plan, and a proposed rule published now and open for public comment. You can read those documents for yourself. There's some shorthand on our website, which I'll show you at the end. But the couple of key components are the boundary alternatives. This tracks very well NOAA's preferred alternative tracks with the state and the community's nomination. The boundary is a bit larger than the 800. It's 1,075 and includes 37 historic shipwrecks. 18 of those are on the National Register. The state of Wisconsin has a rich, long history of protecting maritime heritage resources, and they've listed 18 of these. So we know those are nationally significant from the historical aspect. This really connects Wisconsin with the Great Lakes and with the United States. The Great Lakes are a vast water highway, and I should say, too, I'd be glad to come back and talk to any service organizations or others that you think would want some more in-depth pieces of this proposal. So that's there. The community aspect of it is really key, and the community nomination process is something new in NOAA that started 2 years ago. And this gets at the heritage tourism, the economic impacts that a marine sanctuary can bring to this area. So between the history, the archaeology, and the heritage tourism, the economic impact, and the education impacts. There's a package here of really bringing a new focus to this area. The first proposal, NOAA's preferred alternative, is 3 counties. You can see them there. We also analyzed Kewaunee County, and so now that the documents are out for public comment, we'll weigh those as we go forward, but our proposal mimics the state's recommendation. There's one key regulatory piece to this that's different than the Marine Sanctuary in Thunder Bay, and that is we're proposing no anchoring on the historic shipwrecks in the sanctuary. So that'd be no anchoring on those 37 sites. In Thunder Bay, you can anchor on shipwrecks that don't have a sanctuary-sponsored mooring buoy. So I would quickly add that the Marine Sanctuary is about resource protection, but it's also equally about public access. And we want to really drive those opportunities and get people into the lake, whether it's kayaking, many of these are shallow, or diving. So we want to protect them, but at the same time, increase heritage tourism. So in our management plan, you'll see items like installing mooring buoys on these shipwrecks. So on the one hand, there is a prohibition on anchoring, but we also have a management plan that recognizes that we want to get people to these places safely and encourage them to come visit. So those are the key pieces in the proposal as you look through them. And I've just got a couple other slides here for you. This is a sense of the really amazing preservation, the cold fresh water in Lake Michigan. Many of these shipwrecks contain the personal artifacts of the captain and the crew, the architecture. These span from the 1830s right up through the beginning of the 20th century. So they capture an amazing snapshot of national history here along Lake Michigan shores. Some are shallow. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a very shallow water shipwreck off of Two Rivers, off of Point Beach. So there's ways for all levels of folks to engage in the sanctuary. I wanted to mention very quickly, already we're underway to really support the designation, and this is the type of conservation project that could happen anywhere along the coastline that isn't necessarily connected to a specific community. In May, we'll do some sonar mapping on the bottom of Lake Huron to both look for historic resources, to characterize those, but at the same time, we can use this data for habitat characterization. So you see some of the partners up top. So University of Milwaukee, the School of Freshwater Sciences, Sea Grant, and others are really interested in this kind of data as they manage their aspects of the lake or learn more about them. So we really aim to be an entity, an umbrella for all kinds of research. And if you look at some of the things that are done in Thunder Bay, you'll see that this is really the way it works, is to bring the partners and focus attention on this area of Lake Huron. So this is a big collaboration and multidisciplinary, and we'll be doing this in May. And of course, this could happen, and we hope to have this happen throughout the entire sanctuary area. And then finally, there's ways for communities to be involved beyond what you traditionally might think of how you might be involved in a marine sanctuary, and advisory councils is a key piece. So this is a 30-member board that helps inform sanctuary management, and these are citizens at large. Recreational fishing is represented, commercial fishing, local government, county government, that help manage the sanctuary. So this is an opportunity for any community member to get involved in sanctuary management. And this is it. That's really the close. That's what I've got. This is a website to access the 3 documents that are online and available for public comment. And we look forward to any of your thoughts on the proposal.
How long is the public comment period?
Till March 31st. Yeah, so it closes March 31st. We'll actually have 4 in-person meetings in Two Rivers, actually Algoma, Manitowoc, Sheboygan, and Port Washington. Those will be the middle of March. You can find those dates online. We'll be in Port Washington March 16th at 6:30 at the Wilson House.
And just to wrap up Russ's presentation, staff is planning to bring forth a resolution for consideration by the Common Council at their meeting in March that would formally declare the city's support for the designation process. So that'll be on your agenda coming next month.
Do you have a card?
Pardon?
Do you have a card?
I do have a card, yeah.
Do I have
And
a card?
as I said, I'm happy to come back and talk to Rotary Club or what other club you might think would benefit. I'm just going to walk right up here and
Thank you.
do one of those things.
When it's designated sanctuary, does that affect anything, let's say like commercial fishing or anything of that nature?
It would not. This would be only focused on the shipwrecks and the cultural sites. So no impacts on recreational commercial fishing. Yep.
Surfing.
How do you know
Better not.
where you are not allowed to anchor?
Well, you only on a shipwreck site. So if you were on a shipwreck site, you couldn't anchor on it. So between shipwreck sites, the vast majority
How would
of
you
that
know?
box. How do you know when you're on a
I drove
shipwreck?
my boat all along that area, had no idea some of those little dots were there. How would
Yeah.
I know not to drop anchor?
So that regulation is aimed at divers who are going specifically to go to a shipwreck site. And so we want to, make sure, traditionally you would anchor, you would grapple into that shipwreck site to anchor yourself and do your dive and hold
Oh, for
yourself there.
diving.
So that's what it's aimed at. If you inadvertently anchored, there is a state law against damaging shipwrecks. I think it would be difficult to prosecute somebody that accidentally grappled into a shipwreck. This is really aimed at divers specifically going out there. Yep. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Russ.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kayak tie-ups.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda includes common council minutes of January, architectural board minutes of December, Bureau of Permits and Inspections report for December and January, economic development board minutes of November, finance personnel minutes of December, fire department report for December and January, municipal water utility commission minutes of May and November, planning commission minutes of December 5th and December 16th, Public Safety Committee minutes of September 27th and December 7th, Public Welfare Committee minutes of December, Public Works Committee minutes of November, Sewer Utility District Commission minutes of July, August, and November, Tree Board minutes of August, Zoning Enforcement and Site Compliance Report through February 1st of this year. Also includes Resolution 3425, a resolution renewing the City of Mequon's B-City USA designation for 2017. This was recommended by Public Welfare Committee. And Resolution 3426, a resolution to observe International Migratory Bird Day in 2017. This was also recommended by Public Welfare Committee.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We will now convene as Committee of the Whole. The Town Center discussion, Resolutions 3421, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the offer to purchase by Schaefer Development, LLC, for land commonly known as 6200 and 6300 West Mequon Road and 11300 and 11350 North Buntrock Avenue, and also Resolution 3431, authorizing a development agreement for Spur 16 Town Center Development Project by Schaefer Development for land, for the same land. So that's the topic of our meeting. Ms. Tollefson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'll report that at the Finance and Personnel Committee, the amendment to the offer to purchase was approved. There were a few edits associated with the approval. It was suggested that the closing on the land would occur on June 1st. The developer has requested a little additional time for closing on the property, in part because there are some contingencies that have to be met in terms of a project appraisal, as well as the financial commitment from a lender. So closing on the land per the amended contract would be August 1st of 2017. We've asked then that the loan commitment, the financing commitment on behalf of the developer be provided to the city by June 30th of 2017. However, project completion for phase 1 is still required to be completed as of December 31st, 2018. So what that allows is the city to achieve tax increment as of January 1st, 2019. Project Phase 1 includes the majority of the residential development on the north end of the site, as well as the east-west road that allows for access off of Buntrock into the property, and the north-south road that provides for access from Mequon Road. So any of the Finance and Personnel Committee members, is there anything else you wanted to add regarding the contract?
There was one minor other change, and that was to remove the environmental contingencies and simply say that that contingency's been waived.
Had been satisfied, yes.
Right.
Could you explain that a little bit more?
Well, it's a deadline that's already passed, just to make clear that there's no remaining contingency for the borrower to walk away from the project based on the review of Phase 1 and Phase 2 testing.
Wasn't the Finance and Personnel Committee talking about the 50 feet of Bunt Rock?
That was just a clarification that has been satisfied as part of
Right.
the contract as well.
And then the discussion, I think, about the environmental was that there would be still responsibility for the city as to the DPW facility.
Wasn't that part of the development agreement?
Yeah.
Not the,
Yes.
not the offer to purchase.
Right.
We were just talking about the offer to purchase.
But clarification, I mean, the two need to work together. And then that we also have yet a submittal to DNR so we can get some indication of what the pathway would be for case closure.
That could go in either agreement, I guess. You're right.
So what is before us right now? Is it,
This
that's the
is-
offer to purchase, or?
Well, the two resolutions, the two resolutions are on our agenda. This is just for discussion of the offer to purchase and the development agreement. The Finance Personnel Committee recommended the the offer to purchase. I don't know why this is doing this. But the development agreement was tabled because it needs more work. So I'm not sure that there's anything for us to discuss.
Right, so later on the agenda, you can take action as it relates to the resolution for the amended offer to purchase. We did, if those of you who read the reports related to the development agreement, it contains a lot of information. There were specific points of interest between staff and the development team. Finance and Personnel Committee members spent some time working through those. We didn't get through all of the commentary. I think that we've got some direction from the Finance and Personnel to resolve some of those conflicts. We'll bring those back in March for further consideration by the Finance and Personnel Committee. And I would encourage any council members who have any specific questions related to the development agreement, let me know what those are either tonight or reach out to me this week so that we make sure we're tidying up any other elements of matters or policy directives that you'd like to discuss.
Alderman Worth.
Well, there were a couple items that we didn't get to, at least the bigger policy issues. For example, the change in ownership, which I frankly, I know the applicant thinks I was harsh on a couple of items. On that, I think that perhaps the city's overly harsh. I think once the project is complete, we shouldn't be involved in who the owner of the project is. I think that that's really a matter of it's their property at that point. I don't know that it's nice when a developer stays around, but I don't know that that was ever part of our RFP. I don't think it was sold in that way, and it's certainly not a very usual or customary penalty. So I do think there are a couple of other policy issues that weren't discussed.
Yeah, and maybe just to elaborate on that point for the benefit of the other council members, there are standards, timelines, and penalties associated with the ability to complete the entire mixed-use project as part of the RFP process and vetting through the proposals. There were specific concerns by council members about the ability to not just complete the residential component of the project, but to make sure implementation of the commercial development occurred as well. So the issue that Alderman Worth is raising right now isn't necessarily related to continued ownership throughout the development of the project, but once the full completion of the project occurs, that a long-term ownership agreement as part of the development agreement may not be necessary. And the development agreement right now would suggest a commitment of long-term ownership for 10 years. And we did indicate that what we were really looking for was that Cindy Schaefer remain as one of the controlling members of the project ownership, but there are penalties associated with selling the property prior to the 10 years.
That's not customary, is it?
I sure haven't seen it.
And I know that,
We didn't discuss that at Finance Personnel.
Right.
We didn't get that far.
No, we didn't get not
Right.
get
Okay.
that far.
you know, I think that on that point, I do understand that we would like to have a long-term involvement of the developer, and I think the developer wants that as well. She is a resident of this community, after all. But we've just recently had the experience of having the primary developer of Phase 1 of the town center sell it once it was established and in good shape. And I think the mayor made a really interesting point at that time, and that is, why would we want to keep a developer tied to that development if he or she doesn't want to be there? That we would be better off having someone, as we have had with the town center one, purchase it and make sure that it continues to be successful. So, I guess particularly hearing from Alderman Worth that this is not a customary thing, I guess I would
At least,
not
well,
want
in
to
my
see
experience, I don't know.
penalties. I would not want to see penalties for the sale of the project. I don't anticipate the project would be sold anyway, but I don't think it would be appropriate for us to penalize the party
Once it's done.
once it's done.
Once it's complete.
Exactly.
I fully agree with the position that Alderman Worth made on this, and then also Alderman Pouquet. I would like to add, though, that if we do remove that contingency, let's make sure that, if there's some standarding that's in place with the agreement, that it's noted. Being that this was in when it was originally written, any transferring, if they did sell the property, that they'd still be accountable for, TIF increment, maintaining a certain level of quality, town center agreements,
The
that those would be
successor.
transferred to the
So-
successor.
Yep.
Yeah, I just,
So the document.
dot your i's, cross your t's, so we're not legislating on the fly and doing editing when it's time to vote on it.
Alderman Adams.
Yeah, Alderman Worth made the point that when this came before Economic Development Board for advice, and what they thought would be the best firm, that was never talked about. That they had to keep owning it like for the next 10 years. So why are we enacting it at this point? So I agree.
Okay.
Anything else? Ms. Tomczyk.
Thank you. I'm Debbie Tomczyk with Reinhardt Berner, and I represent the developer. Just a couple of points. We had very good feedback from the finance personnel, great feedback from the staff as well. But two sort of overreaching points. I think we want to come back with something that's a bit more streamlined, that has some more consistencies throughout the document. We heard that loud and clear. Our major concern is just to come back to you with a document that's also financeable, that we're sure that we can get the financing commitment and the success that everybody's certain and committed to achieving. And then we also want to be sure we can get to a point where we can also achieve finality on points. I mean, we've been back and forth on the trees around Bunt Rock, for instance, and we've had some direction from Plan Commission, and some of those issues just continue to keep coming back. I think we need to be able to put some of these issues to bed and be able to move forward with a document and with a project that we can all move forward, get constructed, and be successful with. So that's our goal.
That's our goal as well. So is there any further discussion? We'll move on to resolutions and reconvene as the Common Council. Resolution 3421, authorizing an amendment to the offer to purchase by Schaefer Development for the land at 6200, 6300 West Mequon Road and 11300, 11350 North Buntrack. This was recommended by finance personnel with the changes that were described.
Move to approve the resolution.
I second. I'd also ask as a friendly amendment, well, I guess somebody else second, but to include the couple of agreements we made regarding environmental that weren't specifically added as amendments in finance personnel, that they could be added to this. For example, the fact that we'd have a provision that we're responsible for any environmental contamination at the DPW building that happens between the time of their phase 2 and the time we move out of the building, and the fact that we would work with them and pick up no more than $5,000 of additional cost of moving forward with the cleanup from the next phase of reporting to the DNR.
So are you
That those
suggesting
would also be added to the offer to purchase.
that we are adopting resolution as amended by finance personnel? Is that the request?
As amended by finance personnel, the 3 amendments that Kim described, as well as the couple of additional environmental amendments, because I think those would be appropriate purchase terms.
But I just suggest that instead of incorporating the environmental stuff specifically within the offer to purchase, that the amendment just say that we waive the contingency subject to continuing responsibilities that'll be defined in the development agreement.
That's fine also.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, because they will be defined in the
I'd be happy to take a stab at it, and I do think we want to spell it out if possible, so.
Well, development agreement is a contingency of the offer. So, I mean, we're either going to have an agreement on the development agreement or we're not.
Correct, it's just we're probably not going to have one by the time we want to have the offer amendment signed, so.
It doesn't matter either way.
So you want this included in the
Yeah,
offer
I'd
to
include it in the
purchase?
purchase agreement. I think there's some other things we're not including that the developer would like. These
I
were
guess
reasonable accommodations.
I want to understand what it is we're including with regard to the environmentals, and I want to know how the developer feels about that.
Sure. In terms of the specifics that we would be including as part of the discussion or requirements would be responsibilities of the city as it relates to environmental work. There are specifically 3 requirements that we would have. First would be that we would have to provide effectively a list of hazards that we're currently using within the Public Works facility building. We know that there are some chemicals that are being used there, and so we need to identify what those are. Second, that we would agree to undertake an indemnification for any spills that would occur between the time that we completed the phase 2 environmental work and the end of the review contingency that's being waived as part of this, up until the date of closing. So between that time, anything new.
The date that we move
Vacate
out
the
of
building.
property,
The date that we
DPW
vacate.
property.
Right. And then the third thing would be that we would.
I'd also like to clarify, that's only with respect to the DPW property.
Correct. And then the third thing would be that the city would, include a credit of $5,000, which would be used to offset all or some of the costs that would be associated with getting a liability clarification letter from the DNR. Effectively, a letter that says, "This is what we're proposing to do. DNR, is this okay? If this, if we end up doing this, will you sign off on it to get closure?"
Up to $5,000.
Up to
to $5,000.
$5,000.
Not necessarily $5,000 if it doesn't cost $5,000.
Right.
Consultant said it might be $3,000 to $4,000.
Right.
But it could be up to
Okay,
$5,000.
so, but it's an up to 5,000?
Correct.
If it should cost that, okay.
Right.
We just need to understand what we're taking on, and we don't know what that is, so we need clarification.
So
from
you're
the city.
comfortable with that? Okay.
It's reasonable.
I incorporate that in my motion.
All righty. Any other comments? Seeing none, call the roll.
Alderman Strelchuk,
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Worth,
Aye.
Alderman Garrell,
No.
Alderman Hawkins.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Adams.
Aye.
7-1, and that resolution is adopted. Resolution 3431, authorizing a development agreement for Spur 16 Town Center Development. This was tabled by the Finance Personnel Committee.
Move to table.
Second.
Motion and second to table. Call the roll.
Alderman Bouquet,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Worth,
Aye.
Alderman Garrow,
Aye.
Alderman Hawkins.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Adams.
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk.
Aye.
8-0, and that item is tabled. Resolution 3424, authorizing a waiver for Wisconsin Gas LLC to Chapter 84.6 of the Macmon Municipal Code for compensation requiring specimen tree removal. Recommendation forthcoming from Public Works.
Your Honor, this came to Public Works tonight, and after some discussion, it was approved. So I will move approval of Resolution 3424.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Is there any discussion? Alderman Worth.
While I think it may be a good policy, I don't think it conforms to our ordinance. And I think that stretching our ordinance to say that it covers this is way outside the realm of what the ordinance says. It says a project of a state or federal, state, or a local governmental agency. And the fact that the Public Service Commission may regulate them, this doesn't fall within our ordinance. I don't like our ordinance, and I would much rather see us table this for right now. I understand that we're going to address the ordinance with respect to certain residential issues and other things in the tree ordinance, and I think we ought to follow our own ordinances, but maybe that means we correct the ordinance so that it doesn't cover some sort of true public improvement project like this, rather than us simply ignoring what our ordinance says and make a public policy decision. So, I mean, that's my preference. I'll move that later, but I don't want to cut off conversation. I just don't think that we have this, maybe I'm wrong, but the ordinance doesn't give this discretion. It only gives the discretion if it's a governmental project. And
We've done this already before. Alderman Bouquet.
Well, I guess that while I technically agree that we need to address that ordinance, and I think that there should be an authority under certain circumstances to waive the requirement of paying for specimen trees, that's a different issue. This project is a public service project, and I guess I want to know if we delayed for a month or two while we address that ordinance, what impact would that have on your project? It's a 2017 project, as I understand it.
effect.
We are right at the point where we are ready to start removal of the trees, and we were really waiting. This is our final meeting before we would go ahead and remove the trees. So we went to the Plan Commission, received approval to remove, and then, but the requirement then is that you make the payment. And then we had requested if we could seek that exemption for making that payment. So that's why we're here now. If there was a way to, so that the payment wouldn't have to be made, I don't know if there's a way to do that.
Well, technically, you have the approval to go ahead and remove the trees.
But
I think we understood it that we have permission to remove the trees pending the Common Council taking this exemption up. I'm not sure how that works, but my understanding was we could not take the trees down until you guys took this up this evening, so we have not done anything as of yet.
And I think to
Clarification from
clarify,
staff.
I thought is that we need, the payment has to be made before the trees can be removed. That's my understanding.
The Planning Commission can only approve the removal of, approve or deny the removal of the specimen trees. The condition of approval is the compensation as outlined by the ordinance. So that is the action that the Planning Commission took. It would be an action of this body that would allow them to move forward without compensation. Otherwise, as a condition of removal of the trees, they must fulfill the compensation requirement.
Do they have to pay the compensation before they remove the trees?
Yes.
I don't support delay then. I really don't. The We Energies has worked with the city to protect more specimen trees and important trees on our property that is the Mequon Nature Preserve. They've worked hard at it. Staff has worked hard at it, and I think that this body ought to have the authority to make that exception. And I think we should address the ordinance issue, but I don't think we should delay this project pending it.
I agree with you.
If We Energies would be willing to, there would also be the option of posting a letter of credit, which some of the people that have, or the applicants that have had specimen tree removal that later do either complete the replacement on site do, and pending further action of this committee at a future date, then that letter of credit could be returned.
Can I ask the city attorney for his opinion here?
Well, I do agree with Alderman Worth, and We Energies knows that because I've had that discussion with their staff previously. That to me, this is not a public project of a city, county, or state, which would be the authority that we have based on the current ordinance. And so I do agree that is a limitation of your power to waive that in this particular case. I think, however, that the council certainly could, as part of, I think, its inherent authority, accept the letter of credit as an alternative, or even to just say, offer a period of a 60-day delay, to pay that penalty, which would be sufficient then to hopefully resolve that issue otherwise. But I don't think that you can just waive that requirement in the code based on the language that's there.
Could we waive it for more than 60 days? It'll take this council and our process more than 60 days to amend an ordinance.
It was just the date that was on the top of my head.
Okay.
It could be whatever.
Why don't you waive it until the till the Public Welfare Committee or whoever comes up with a new tree board ordinance?
Just so everyone knows, this is already in process at Tree Board. They are reviewing the tree policy, which will then ultimately lead to recommendations for modifications to the ordinance. So it is already in process at the Tree Board.
Right, but it'll take a couple months, so if
Yes.
we waive it until that time, then we're holding them harmless here on that.
So why don't we do it till August 1st or September 1st? Give plenty of an adequate amount of time to make a...
Make it September.
Okay, but I just think we should be subject to our own laws,
Sure.
without just being willy-nilly and making it up as we go.
So what should our motion be?
The table.
Well, okay, let's make it a little more
We have to amend
complicated
it.
than that. I'd move to, and I think we could do, that we would instruct staff not to delay enforcement of the collection of the, what is it called, a penalty? Whatever it is. A
Reimbursement.
penalty until August 1st, or September 1st, what did we just say?
September.
September 1st. And that we otherwise table the balance of the request.
I would, pending review of the tree board ordinance in that motion, because I didn't hear that portion.
Well, it gives us time to do that.
Right.
Right.
So we're,
Second that?
well, I think the original motion was to adopt the resolution that would authorize waiver, and what has been said here is that we have to withdraw that motion because the resolution, that we don't have the legal authority to adopt that resolution and to waive our own ordinance. Is that what you've said?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean technically that motion is off the table?
Well, I think that effectively you have a motion to table that has additional conditions to it that is pending. That would take precedence over the pending motion of
Okay.
approval. So I think that the motion would be in order with the conditions that have been stated.
But we will allow the project to go forward.
Correct. The part of the motion is that the direction to staff would just be to not enforce the requirement of payment until September 1st.
And obviously, our applicants are aware that this isn't a given thing, though. I mean, we don't know what we're going to end up voting at when that comes forward. I'm
It's
just
true.
saying, that's what we're waiting for, our decisions, and we can't tell where our decisions are going to be come September.
It's good input.
Hopefully sooner.
So is anyone going to table it?
Well, that was a motion.
I think
and there was
that's
a
the
second.
motion. There's a second, we just got to vote on it.
We need to vote on it.
We have a motion.
Oh, that's
The
not
motion and a
debatable.
second to table, that's not debatable.
It wasn't a table, it was a motion that.
It was a motion with a motion to table. It was a motion to table with
A condition.
Condition. And the condition is that staff is directed not to enforce payment until September 1st.
Can I make a point of order?
Ask the chair.
Does everybody understand the motion?
Understand it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Call the roll.
Alderman Meyer,
No.
Alderman Worth,
Aye.
Alderman Garrow,
No.
Alderman Hawkins,
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin,
Aye.
Alderman Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk,
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet.
Aye.
6-2, and that resolution is adopted.
They can't go forward and do it.
We'll get it done.
Wait, the
Table.
resolution's adopted?
Not
or the-
adopted, table.
Table.
No,
Table.
it was tabled, but you
With
don't have to pay.
contingencies.
We just told staff not to.
Resolution 3427, a resolution awarding a contract to AHA Consulting Incorporated, Lake Oswego, Oregon, for a redesign of the city website and implementation of a web content management system in the amount of $23,600, recommended by Public Welfare Committee in January and recommended by Finance Personnel Committee this
Move
evening.
approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Worth,
Aye.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
Alderman Hawkins.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Adams.
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk.
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
8-0, and that resolution is adopted.
Extraordinary
Thank you
presentation.
for your presentation. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Resolution 3428, approving and authorizing the execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Mequon and the Mequon Police Association for the period January 1, 2017 through December 31st, 2018. This is recommended by Finance Personnel Committee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
Alderman Hawkins.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Adams.
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk.
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
And Alderman Worth.
Aye.
8-0, and that resolution is adopted. Resolution 3430, approving a transfer of funds from the Capital Project Funds County Line Road account to the Port Washington Road and Local Roads Program capital accounts. This is recommended by the Finance Personnel Committee.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Is there any discussion?
This did overwhelmingly, oh, wait. I'm sorry, we had something like this come through.
Different thing.
No comment?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Giddy up.
Call the roll.
Alderman Hawkins.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Adams.
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk.
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Worth.
Aye.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
8-0, and that resolution is adopted. We have no specified unfinished business, no presentation of petitions, memorials, remonstrances, or communications, no specified miscellaneous new business. We have a closed session. We're convened into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, paren 1, paren G, Wisconsin State Statutes, conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral and written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. This involves a claim of the Lakes of Vildu Park Condominium Association. And also convene into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85(1) Wisconsin State Statutes, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This involves personnel evaluations of the city administrator and the city attorney.
And Mr. Mayor, I would just remind the council that we'd look for 2 motions and 2 votes on each one separately.
Okay. On the first one.
I'd like to move to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion
I
and a
recuse
second.
myself, Your Honor, on the first one.
Okay. Call the roll.
Alderman Durbin?
Aye.
Alderman Adams?
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak?
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet?
Aye.
Alderman Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Garrow?
Aye.
Alderman Hawkins?
Aye.
7-0, and that is approved. On second one for performance or performance evaluations.
To go into closed session?
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Alderman Adams?
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak?
Aye.
Alderman Pouquet?
Aye.
Alderman Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Worth?
Aye.
Alderman Garrow?
Aye.
Alderman Hawkins?
Aye.
Alderman Durbin?
Aye.
8-0, and we will now go into closed session, and we will not be returning.
Somebody let me know when you're done with the first one, please.